Alright lads, we're back again, and I've got something quite fucking different this time. This is going to be an observation that I've made that I expect to look back on in 10, 20 years time, and that it will be playing out in real time, because I can see that it's playing out in a much slower way now. I see that it's based around the West concepts, Western ideas, how they're programming their citizens. And it's not some fucking tinfoil hat shit where I go on about government, things like that, because that's irrelevant. You know, that doesn't matter. That's what's happening is a product of capitalism. And it's not like a fucking monster. It's not some fucking dark monster that you know, there's a shadow man that just wants to hurt everyone. It's based on large corporations. It's just the way that it goes. It's like if you play Monopoly, one person ends up with everything. But rather than one person ending up with everything, they've shaken hands and made deals that they all just extract. It's like the movie The Matrix. See, people watch the movie The Matrix and they understand it on an extremely low level. I understand something like that on a very high level, that they're birthing citizens just to extract from them. They're not birthing citizens in a lab, it's all happening fucking organically. But they're just like a slave, like they're to be extracted from for tax purposes, but also massive amounts of consumerism. They're peddled a lot of fucking garbage to buy. It's beneficial to keep them fat and sick. It's beneficial to keep them fucking dumb. It's beneficial to drown them in these social fucking programs so that they don't understand what's going on. They think that their enemy is some fucking guy with different skin color. They think their enemy is someone who has just as little as them, but maybe he looks slightly different. They don't understand that it's a big role of capitalism. And I do still think that it is the best system. I'm not gonna sit here and say that fucking, you know, all the other ones are better. This is just, it's a product of capitalism. It's not a product of fucking some evil man's just watching everyone and, you know, he just wants to hurt everyone. No. It's very large corporations that have joined together to monopolize people like cattle. And that's just, that's the game. That's how it works. Rather than Monopoly where you get exterminated if you fucking can't pay your shit. They've realized that it's more beneficial to just keep the people on the board and let them just fall further into debt because they keep things going. It's like a volume reference that I've made in another video. They need them because they keeps a lot of shit happening, you know? And what I see is in the future, I'm in fucking Poland now, like Warsaw, and I see people that have money, and I don't understand why you would live in the West anymore. I think the West is filled with degeneracy. I don't think of it from like a fucking religious level. I'm not coming at it from that. I just know that it pays to keep people angry. It pays to keep people focused hyperly on sex. See, I walk to the coffee shop here, I turn the TV on, there's a lot of romance songs. They specifically walk into a restaurant before, and it was just back-to-back fucking like romantic songs from the 60s, you know? And this is a nice restaurant. I turn the TV on, and it's like they're fucking, like, I don't know what they're called, the fucking soap opera. And it's all couples and, you know, they're people with families and things like that. The programming is completely different. If I was to turn the same show on in Australia, it would be dropping like WAP and Cardi B and all that sort of crap on the radio when I was at the restaurant, one. And it would be all this gangster rap so everyone can run around and be a plastic gangster and fucking fill the jails up. You know, it's extremely obvious to me on a very high level what is happening in the West, because I can see every step. I can see like it from the base to the top, what's going on. And I think that people are getting like, see what happens with capitalism. See, they're brilliant at getting the fucking biggest hit into people's systems as possible. So they're great at getting the biggest dopamine hit the fastest, and then they can like monopolize it and make a shitload of money off it. See, where people here, they like turn a romantic song, turn the radio on or something and it's a romance. So it's a very small dopamine rush. Like a romantic thing, it's sort of like, it doesn't hit as hard as something like WAP or fucking, you know, like some Cardi B or some ratchet crap. Or you know, guys might watch here and maybe like a fucking risky bit of something happens on TV and it's like some guy kissing a girl and she's in like a bra or something. Whereas here in the West, you turn fucking the TV on during the day and you see like people twerking and shit, you know, like it's extremely common. So the West or capitalism in general, they're very good at refining the drugs. So they're very good at making it extremely refined, extremely easy to get to, and then pushing it to the masses in a massive hyper way. And sex is a way to get that drug through to people because sex sells extremely well. But the problem with that is sex is only part of a relationship. See, they sell you something that you think that's just everything, and the emotions and things a lot of people can't show, like love and fucking, you know, forgiveness and things like that. They can't really show. A lot of stuff that they show are these massive negative emotions, specifically on TV, specifically people that you meet. They can't really express themselves. You see a lot of people in the West and they can't be vulnerable. They're scared to fucking, you know, open up. They're scared to tell someone that they even like them. You know, in the West, it's very much like, oh, I have to keep my cards extremely close to my chest and I can't fucking tell anyone anything. I have to be, you know, on edge all the time because everyone's out to hurt me. And then it's not just men that think that, it's women as well. And that's through a lot of programming to keep people separated. So what's happening is here, you can walk around here, there's an amazing abundance of beautiful women, you know. There's a lot of fucking sweet women. There's a lot of fucking, you know, women with good values, women that just would like to have a family. You know, that's what they want. But if you think like some fucking Western doofus could come here and find a large amount of success, I don't think so. I don't think that a fuckboy here would have an abundance of success because it's a very different place. If people come here from the West, they specifically treat relationships like a dopamine circus. They think that, you know, a relationship is just to be toxic and fight and, you know, make up and we have make-up sex, you know. That's the biggest thing to them because they can't get anything else. They can't open up. They can't fucking talk to a girl who doesn't open up either. They're both sitting there with their fucking like completely fucking concealed, and they can only match each other when they have sex. So they can only connect on a sexual level, and that's through a lot of programming. That's through a lot of shit that they're programmed with at a very young age when you turn the TV on. So that a lot of these doofuses watch the fucking idiot box 24/7, and they're taught that, you know, they have to be fearful. So when men and women have to fucking, you just can't show your cards because he who cares less wins. That's what they're taught. And then it becomes a race to the bottom. So that's what's happening now. You get a lot of people that are like, oh, yeah, I have to show that I just don't care at all. That's the only way to have fucking success. And they have these really transient, toxic, fuckboy, like really like short sex sessions. That's really all that it is because they can't connect on a level beyond that. So then these are the same doofuses that run around and be like, oh, yeah, you can only get sex only out of a woman because that's all that they'll ever see. Because it's not just them that's fucked up, it's the woman as well, because they're programmed that they can't be vulnerable. If you're with a girl fucking in even Australia and you're like, oh yeah, all right, we've been fucking, you know, seeing each other for a month or something, why don't you write me a letter of how you feel about me? That would be quite rare, like that a chick would even be able to do that. You don't understand like how damaged that they are and how broken and how programmed they are. So, I mean, you're in Australia or something like that. The concept of romance and things like that are almost dead. Like the concept of everything just is based around sex. Like it's based around just like, oh, how do I get to the fucking hardest form of drug hit that I can? You know, the dopamine hit, I just want to get the most refined fucking thing in my arm. You know, so I have to everything is about sex. And then they turn around and be like, oh, how did it fall over? You know, like, oh, I don't know why they've fucking vanished. If sex is all you have, understand that people like variety with sex so that they can replace you extremely quickly. You could have fucking everything going for you sexually like me and still chicks will be like, oh yeah, I want a bit of a variety. But if there's fucking many other things going for you, you know, you're connected, she feels vulnerable around you, she's connected with you on that fucking level, it's a lot harder to replace. So you don't understand. You think that fucking, like, I have to keep my cards so close to my chest, I can't fucking talk about anything. I have to be this fucking rock. You know, I have to, he who cares less wins. The fuckboy, you know, I have to pretend to be this fucking, you know, rock because chicks is the only way to get success with women. It's a race to the bottom. Like, these are the sort of behaviors that are going to ensure that you're a slave forever. You don't understand that. You think that, oh yeah, I'm just a fuckboy with girls, but actually if you looked at your life, you're most likely a fuckboy in general. Like, you're not like having success in other fields as well, and you think like, oh no, women are their own fucking thing. You don't understand that how you treat women and how you fucking behaviors learn and things like that are how you're gonna be treating friendships, business deals, possible fucking growth potential. You think that to have a bunch of fucking women running around talking shit about you and, you know, DMing girls and doing all this crap, that it's not gonna rub off on your business that you're trying to start? Like, you think that just because you see a few nerds do it that have a specifically large amount of clout, NDAs, money, lawyers, the girl's not gonna really rat on them because they have a massive platform, and if the girl rats on them, she'll never get back on it. So you don't understand leverage, but understand that even those people will have considerable problems in the future, because once the girl realizes like, oh, I'm not gonna get back on the platform anyway, well, I may as well fucking file a bunch of complaints. And if you're fighting against a heap of fucking like class action lawsuits, it doesn't matter if you're worth $10 million, it can be extremely expensive. Some of these fucking things, you know, talk terrible about women. And I'm not standing here saying that women are great, specifically in the West. There's a lot of fucking like really low value garbage in the West. I jump on Tinder in the West and it's almost like I'm in like a fucking nuclear wasteland. Like the girls are the lowest, probably, I'm in Australia normally. The girls are probably the lowest quality, I think, in the world. Like it's not, I would say 50% of the girls on there are fat. And not just fat, but like really fucking fat. So, yeah, I understand that it's a bit of a fucking wasteland, but it's not just a wasteland for that. It's a wasteland for degeneracy. See, I was at UAE recently, and again, it's just different, right? Like, you turn the radio on and they're very based on like families. They're quite based obviously on religions, like their religion. There's a lot of Muslims and that there, but they have like a very strong foundation. They're not just getting their people and using them as fucking like tax slaves. They've, you know, they're trying to build their area up. They've got their own ideas. They're very family focused. They're trying to build like, you know, a big community. Whereas in the West, like comparatively, let's say I'm comparing that to Australia, it seems like they're just trying to indoctrinate the kids at a very young age to be like tax kids, you know, like tax slaves, and fucking get them on the hamster wheel as quick as they can, get them angry, stir them up, divide them, tell them that women are fucking some massive threat, tell them that they can't be vulnerable to anyone, tell them to kind of hide all their fucking emotions, you know, or you can't fucking show anything. And then they think when they get to like 40 or 50 years old, when they're completely alone, that things are just going to be fucking great for them. They don't understand that once these companies and that have extracted everything out of them, they don't care if they're swinging off a rope. They'll sell them the fucking rope. That's how capitalism works. So they extract from you even to the fucking end. So if I had some advice, if I was a rich guy, I mean, obviously I'm fucking very wealthy, I would not stay in the West. I would not be raising kids there. If I had the means to leave, I would. I see that the West is going to be like a fucking, pretty much a Disneyland. Like, it's all fake when you go there. It's all designed to fucking give you like a dopamine rush. It's all, you know, it's all make believe, and fucking you look around and things kind of look fun and that. But if you live there, it's all fake. You can't really stay there because you're not really getting ahead. You know, nothing's real. Nothing's long term. A lot of relationships and that are there are encouraged to just be extremely transient. And these fucking red pill nerds jump on and actually like perpetuate that. They don't understand that they're playing perfectly into the capitalism principles. See, feminism and that's extremely strong because when they get women to go to work, they double the workforce. That's what every retard says, which is true. But not only that, they make wages more competitive. So now wages slow down because the market's essentially doubled. And then they bring mass migration in. So then they fucking cut the wages again because it's more competitive for the same job, specifically lower jobs. And then they globalize so they can send a lot of jobs offshore. They can use the internet to do a lot of fucking work that you could have done. They can send off to someone fucking like in India for half the pay or less. So you understand shit on a fucking like really rudimental level. I understand shit on an extremely deep level. And I understand that I know what wealthy people do. And I know that I know fucking wealthy people that say that they live in the States and they run funds. So they say that they live in the States and in the States they live like fucking Warren Buffett. Their house is extremely basic, everything looks fucking normal. So their investors are like, oh yeah, this guy is just a humble dude. And then in fucking Monaco and shit like that, they have massive resorts, yachts, shit that they go wild on and people would never fucking know. It's all hidden from their investors. It's all secret. So if the investors saw it, they'd be like, oh, I don't want a guy that parties all the time and has a yacht. But instead they look in and they're like, oh yeah, this dork's still driving his Corolla around. He's never fucking at home. He's on a private jet burning around Eastern Europe half the fucking year. So people completely lack understanding, of course. They think that these Americans and fucking, rich people are just like them. They're just chilling in the fucking, oh, yep, he's in California like me. No, he's there a very small amount of the time and he's fucking enjoying himself the rest of the time. Guys like Bezos and things like that, they're not there a lot of the time. They're actually fucking, traveling in places that are pleasant. They understand that US specifically is a giant toilet, that it's fucking like a capitalism, just a dopamine factory, and that it pays to keep people fucking like angry, divided, upset. People are extremely obsessed with skin color and things there. They think that people are different just because the color of their skin. It's incredibly stupid. People think that people are completely different just because they believe in a fucking slightly different political party. Crap like that, like shit that they can never ever profit off. It's extremely fucking dumb and naive, and it's done strictly to divide. Like it's to keep people separated, so they don't ever understand like exactly who's pulling the strings. And it's these big corporations that use them as essentially a battery. They extract from them, and then they die. So you think you watch The Matrix and you're like, yeah, this is just a big simulation. No. The corporations are getting too big and it pays to keep you alive until they're done extracting from you, and then you can live a life of misery for your last few years. That's how it's designed. So what I would be doing if I fucking was in the West is I would be looking for online jobs, things like that, and I'd be looking to get the fuck out of there. So you walk around Eastern Europe, you walk around Poland, and the women here, even the men, they're just so much more pleasant. They've got good manners. They dress respectably. You'll see people here that are on $2 an hour and they're still clean. I walk around Australia and people that are fucking on $1,000 a week and they look like a fucking hobo. They don't really have much self-respect. Australians in general are losing their dignity and they don't realise it. It's happening quite slowly. These lockdowns have sent that country back about 50 fucking years. It's not just the lockdowns, it's a lot of these policies. You think that you see all these policies and fucking think that Australia does all this shit. They're like, oh yep, we're cracking down on the bikie gangs. That's why we have to set all these new surveillance laws up. You really believe that? You think that when they fucking plaster some bikie on the news, on the Daily Mail every day for quite a minor crime, that it's not just to program you so that they can tighten the very laws that they're going to use against you? You think that bikies and that are really a big fucking deal in Australia? You turn the news on and you're like, yep, I can't believe that they haven't fucking passed that law yet. Someone got shot every few months, someone gets shot in the States consistently. I'm not saying that the crime, it doesn't exist, but it's very minor compared to fucking the laws that they're passing. They're passing surveillance laws there where it looks like you won't even be able to fucking have an Anon account in Australia for much longer. So if you want to get on 4chan even and post, it's going to be a thing of the past. They've got a lot of laws there that they've passed based around even trolling. If you're on an Anon account and you're posting shit that's controversial, you can run into massive problems. They don't understand that it seems like it's going to be the first place that passes sort of a social credit system outside of China. It's just become a very much a surveillance state there. And why they do it is it's about tightening the fucking noose. Like the more control you have, the more money and things that can be made. It's about having like if you're a shepherd, you want to keep your sheep under control. Like you've got your fucking, like you want to make sure that the fences and that are really tight so they can't go anywhere. Even though you can still shepherd them around. Like if you can make sure the fences and that, you can bring the fences in, the fences are out here and you bring them in all the time, there's less work for you to do. And I think Australia sells a very strong narrative like the lucky country. I don't think that Australia is the lucky country at all. Like I've been to fucking many countries. I don't think Australia is even in like the top 10 or more. You think that you see the property prices and that in Australia, like the average Joe. I have friends that make like 80K a year and they tell me like, oh, I'll never own a house in Australia. I just can't. Like they can't even get in the fucking market. I own many there. I've been selling houses for the last couple of years. I still have many there. But understand that the country's like being sold out essentially to other countries. What they have is these citizenship programs. So the citizenship programs and things like that, like you have to spend a certain amount of money. I think it's like maybe 2 million on property, and then maybe you can apply for a citizenship there. And how it works is a lot of these countries where they have certain money, black money, and no firewall, like they can't see where the money comes from, they'll just pay any price just to get a citizenship. So what happens is it keeps the market like going higher and higher, and I don't really see that that's going to stop. So it keeps the market artificially inflated because people from other countries want to get there because it's better than what they have, and they can also move a certain amount of black money there. So what happens is the average Joe on the ground can't enter the market. He thinks that like he doesn't have a chance to fucking, I know friends of mine that work as like a tradie, maybe they're fucking like an electrician or something, maybe they're on 80K a year, and they're telling me like that they'll never have a house, and even the idea of having a family, like they don't know if they can afford that because rents are so high. They think like, oh, you know, I don't think that that's in my future, you know. And it's not just that rents are so high, they're taught to be massive consumers. They're not taught to save money, they're not taught to invest, they're just taught to consume. And in Australia specifically, gambling is a massive fucking problem. See, they're over there, they're told that fucking, you know, gambling's very heavily advertised. It's advertised a lot with sport. It's advertised a lot with fucking, like you walk around, every pub's, like on every corner has the poker machines, like pokies, slot machines. And what happens in Australia, apparently it's per person, they lose more money than people in Vegas. So Australian citizens per person gamble more than citizens in Las Vegas, the gambling capital of the world. So what's happening there is just, gambling's just fucking destroying people's lives. And then gambling kind of goes hand in hand with drugs. So people are very much stuck on the hamster wheel in that country specifically. Australia, they're very much sold that marketing ploy that, yeah, it's the lucky country, you know, you're so lucky to be here, you don't want to fucking like go anywhere else. And Australia's a good place, I think, to make money. I don't think that it's a good place to raise a family unless you have like either really broke or you have a lot of money, and maybe you can like use a combination of homeschool and things like that. But I think that the public schools specifically are like an indoctrination camp. A lot of the crap that they're taught is just extremely low value. They're taught to get involved in a lot of fucking like social issues and fucking crap on TV, and they're taught that like, you know, there's a lot of crap around fucking like gender stuff, and I'm not against that. I have nothing against fucking gay people. I have nothing against people that fucking decide that's what they want to do. I couldn't give a shit. But I consider that an adult concept. So I don't want my kid getting taught shit like that at like 8 years old. That's an adult fucking concept. If they come to me as an adult and say fucking, you know, whatever, that's fine. But those are not things that kids should have their fucking brains flooded with when they don't really understand completely who they are yet. So they haven't even had a choice to decide, and now they're getting a lot of fucking options slammed down their face. I don't think that fucking the state and things like that really like give a shit about people. I think that they give a shit about themselves, and the people that are in politics and power specifically don't care about anything other than maintaining their own power. Don't think that they care about the citizens at all. I don't think that they care about the future of the country at all. I think that they're fucking just focused on like keeping their power in their clutches. And as such, they pass it on to like family members and things like that later, and they've got their little inside club, and they're all just over time refining their own fucking like one single idea for how the country should be. And that's that the people just need to be more fucking like slave minded. And Australia has some of the worst slave minds fucking in the world. I know that because I was fucking there. I lived there for a very long time. I lived there. I climbed from fucking the gutter. I've lived in Australia. I grew up in a town of 200 people. I had fucking nothing. I had no friends. I was in 8 schools. I was always the new dude walking around school. I was always introduced to fucking new classes. Every fucking year I knew that there would be someone, like I would be the new dude. I've been in the army. I've been around I spent over a year in a veterans hospital, 24 hours a day. So I've seen how fucking some of these people are treated. And I think that there's not really a fucking like avenue for old people in Australia specifically. They're really very much disrespected. See, a lot of these guys think like, oh, yep, when I'm 40 or 50, like things are just gonna be fucking amazing. No. In Australia and countries like that, the older people get fucking zero respect. There's no real avenue set up or encouraged that really gives them anything to do when they get to like 60. You know, they're expected to just fucking figure things out on their own. And now you're getting a lot of people that just won't even have kids or have a family. So now when they're older, they won't have anyone that fucking help them out or anyone to fucking like talk to at all. A lot of you guys think that like, you know, you live in this fucking dopamine life now and everything's exciting and, you know, I'm a fuckboy and, you know, I got laid the other day. I have fucking told 20 lies. You know, you just think that like everything's just some fucking like meant to be exciting. You can't build anything because you can't get in the trenches and fucking like take the fucking bullets and just fucking like take the fucking heat and fucking build shit. You just think like, oh, what can I get today? You know, and that's always going to be the small things that you get because the big wins take a lot of fucking time. See, the big people like the corporations and people with money, they know that. They take everything's fucking long term for them. Everything's short term for you. You turn the news on, you turn fucking anything on and it's always short-term crap. Like, oh, how do I make fast money? How do I get fast sex? You know, it's always fucking like that really refined dopamine rush, but it's very temporary. So people think like, oh, how do I make this cash very fast? And they don't care if they like fucking sell parts of themselves that they can't buy back. See, they fucking think like, oh, they'll just like chicks jump on OnlyFans and be like, there'll just be no consequences to me fucking on OnlyFans making money. You know, when I'm older, I'm just, you know, it's always going to be like this. You know, I'm never going to have kids and, you know, someone's not going to say shit to my kids when they're older. I don't care about anyone else. I'm just going to extract what I can. And that sort of thinking is fucking pretty dumb. Like it's very fucking dopey. You know, it's quite selfish. And it's very similar when dudes say like, oh, you know, these sort of fucking wannabe thug culture that's pushed through the United States specifically. The thug drug culture and fucking, you know, that, oh, you know, real men are fucking gangsters and, you know, everyone's a gangster and everyone plays gangster and pretends that they're fucking tough guys. And a lot of them are just fucking dorks. You know, just because you can get a gun and shoot someone, that doesn't mean anything. You know, the hardest thing that makes a man is he looking after his fucking family? Is he looking after the people that fucking rely on him? Does he have a network of people that count on him? See, a lot of you guys think like, oh no, you just got to be some fucking like super tough guy. Tough guys are fucking dangerous guys and they do all this crap. No, that's not what people do. Tough guys look after their fucking family, raise kids, go to fucking work every day. Tough guy is a guy that goes to work even when he hates it because he knows that he's got fucking kids and shit to support. You think a tough guy is some fucking doofus that's got a codeine addiction and then goes and gets a fucking handgun and shoots someone. That to me is a junkie. See, you fucking don't understand shit at a deep level. You just understand shit at an extremely surface level. You think that shit like that's what makes a man. It's not. Because your fucking dad never taught you jack shit. The shit that he taught you is fucking garbage. And now you fucking watch TV and listen to all these fucking losers that tell you what a man should do. And that's just to keep the jails full. That's to keep your attention. That's to destroy your life. So you watch a lot of this thug culture and rap culture and they just don't care about you. You know, understand that these people, these puppets, specifically these artists and that are paid a very large amount and sedated with drugs, they have handlers that own the fucking company, and then they have handlers above that, and then it all comes back to like BlackRock or a large fund will own that as well. You don't understand that it's just to set a very specific narrative. And then you see some fucking like rapper, fucking doofus, have some success, and he gets paid out. Understand that he's only being paid to destroy his own culture. He's being paid to destroy his community. He is not a fucking hero. So you watch it and you're like, oh man, this guy, like he's fucking amazing. Do you think that this person's made your fucking community better or worse? Because I would say that a lot of these thugs and that have destroyed the states, you know, they've destroyed fucking the concept of families. They've destroyed fucking anything long term. It's all short-term money that ends up in prison and ends up fucking destitute and with massive problems. So you fucking think like, oh no, what makes the man is that he's got some dollars in his pocket and a fucking handgun and he's got like girls on speed dial and fucking they're all ratchet trash bags and yep, I fucked this girl and she's fucked 300 dudes. Like, it's just all such fucking like low value crap. And then these guys think like, even if they have kids, they're just passing the cycle in a more refined way. So their kids are gonna be even more fucked up. See, sometimes a man's job is solely to break a bad cycle. Like maybe his dad was a massive fuck up and now his job is to just fucking like raise kids in a safe environment. You think that, oh yep, I'm just in a dopamine factory and I'm just gonna fucking like have kids out of wedlock. I don't care, I'm just gonna be a fucking hood rat and you know, I'm gonna knock this chick up and you know, then if I knock her up, then I can always fucking talk to her and she'll always have to fuck me. You know, a lot of you guys just are incredibly selfish. Instead of fucking forwarding your gene pool and like refining it in a good way, like the elites do, you just treat it like some fucking game and just happy to fucking like, just the idea of your own kids just, oh yeah, out in the wild, you just don't give a fuck. Like you're taught not to care about anyone but yourself. And then you sit there and be like, oh yeah, but I just can't find a girl that listens to me, you know, like, you can't fucking like, a lot of you guys can't set boundaries. That's your biggest problem with women. You have new women and then as soon as they start to fuck up, you can't correct them. You can't say that you'll leave. You can't just fucking like, you know, be like, oh, I don't like that. You have to find a new girl. And then you think, oh, I hope that she comes perfectly fucking exactly how I want her. No, people push boundaries. They have to fucking learn you. If you want something long term, that's just how it works. They have to learn who you are. They have to be molded into what you want. But that takes work. You can have a girl for 5 years and be with her and she still does shit that pisses you off and you have to say. So you want some fucking like chick that just comes perfectly, like some fucking perfectly fine and never does anything wrong and you know, she just listens to you all the time and doesn't do absolutely anything. Even a fucking dog will piss on the floor from time to time. You gotta fucking just be disciplined yourself. A lot of the shit that you guys are taught about men is completely false. In Australia, they have like a massive idolization of like bikie culture. And in the United States, they have a massive idolization of thug culture. So you can't unite and understand why both those narratives are pushed. I understand at a very high level why those narratives are pushed. Specifically in Australia so that they can crank up the surveillance laws. And then in the US so that they can encourage the massive degeneracy and consumerism that goes alongside that. See, I understand that. I understand that it's profitable to destroy one specific like race, not just destroy them, but weaponize them. I understand that with crisis, there's opportunity. The elites understand that. And then you have people that fucking think that, you know, everything just happens at random. Like you walk around here and there's romance songs and fucking like people are in love, you can generally tell, you know, couples are very like holding hands and fucking it's very obvious that they love each other. In America or somewhere, even Australia, it's just they're encouraged that everything revolves back to sex. And sex is to be enjoyed, but you're taught that a relationship like that's all that it is, like that's all that there is to offer because they don't want you united. You think that everything's just, you know, sex only and fucking, you know, because when you unite, like you can do a lot more. See, if you're on your own, You're very easy to sell to. It's easy to keep you divided. You have less fucking like force than when you got another person that sort of has your back. You don't really have a route to like have kids fucking like with a family, because they know that eventually you'll just have kids fucking like just at random, and then they'll be raised essentially by the state. And you think that like your utility as a man is that you're a protector and all these things, but a lot of that has been outsourced to the state, like to the state in a lot of those places. So when you see a woman, you think that like, oh no, she needs someone to protect her. She doesn't. She's got the police for that. A lot of those old fucking beliefs that you have, they don't really exist anymore. Like a lot has changed. So now you just think like you've just refined yourself down to be like, yep, well, I only have sex to offer, as though you're like some fucking walking dildo. Because a lot of you guys don't have any substance. Like there's just nothing really, like I know that you walk around and you're extremely fake. So you act like some alpha fucking doofus, and I know that if I just gave you a little scratch that there's nothing fucking beyond that exterior. A lot of you guys are taught like that all your value is just on the outside. You don't understand that your value is all internal. See, a lot of the shit that has value that you can buy, all the shit that you can buy, you're taught's valuable, but everything that's really valuable is everything that you were born with, that you can't fucking like lose. You know, I can lose my car and it doesn't fucking matter. I can lose my necklace today, it doesn't matter. But the shit that's valuable is like your fucking dignity, your self-respect, your fucking like, you know, do you look after your body? Do you fucking fit? You know, a lot of you are fucking like some fucking marshmallow running around, and then you think like, yeah, like women ain't shit and all this other crap. And then you're just disrespecting yourself because your body is fucking sloppy. You don't look after yourself. You're taught that all your value, yeah, a lot of you just think that you're some fucking walking sex toy. It's just incredibly fucking foolish. It's so fucking dumb, because that's really just all that you're taught, you know, and a lot of women are taught much the same. So they just think, oh, we'll just work on the exterior. They don't understand that the exterior gets you interested, but it's the interior that keeps you around. And you think that fucking like you think much like a woman. You think that, oh, yep, it's just my exterior. No, they're exactly the fucking same. They look at you and the exterior gets them interested, yes. If she thinks that you look like a fucking complete freak, obviously you're not gonna have much success. But if you just look good and there's nothing inside, then fucking you're not gonna have a lot of success. So you think that fucking like you have to act like this fucking like friction-free dude. Either you think that you have to be this extremely nice dude, or that you have to be this cold fucking Terminator. It's just really like, there's really very little of an in-between. Like specifically in the West, because you're so conditioned that you have to be fearful. Like you think that, oh, I can't be vulnerable because like, I might get my heart stomped on. So I have to be this super Terminator. Or you're so fearful that the chick will leave that you're like, oh, I have to be this super nice guy. No one will ever like me if I'm not nice. And the truth's in the middle, like as fucking always, you know, that friction bonds people. So you're not really taught that. You're taught, especially these nice guy doofuses, they're taught that fucking like they need to be friction free, and if I make things extremely easy, that everything's just gonna fall into place. No, friction bonds things, it bonds people. So it has to be fucking like difficult from time to time. You're taught that fucking everything has to be fucking like, if I just, you know, I can't do anything controversial because like, oh, I don't want to upset her. You don't understand that the friction bonds people, and then the fuckboys understand it at a low level because they're all about the friction. They are too much that extreme though, and then they fucking end up having a lot of fucking problems because maybe they find some success that they fuck girls and things like that, but they don't really get any like longevity out of it. You know, they think that, oh, I just bounce around girls and, you know, I'm having a lot of success because maybe I'm fucking 20 girls. It's all transient. The girls that they're fucking are going to be like quite low value, and there's going to be a lot of fucking like toxicity and damage. And if you're in a toxic environment, it's extremely difficult to start a business. It's extremely difficult to become successful. A lot of you guys are taught to idolize these fucking doofuses that are just only in your community to destroy it. Like the very guys that you idolize, it's like you fucking see the guy that sold all your fucking family heroin. And then you're there being like, oh, that's my dog, like that's my boy, you know, that's my man. No, he fucked everyone that you know. He's been a puppet. He's been paid specifically to destroy your community. You don't understand that. You sit there and be like a fucking dumbass seal. I understand that at a high level, see? I know that when I turn the news on in fucking Australia and they're talking about all this bikie crap, oh, yep, everyone needs to be scared of him. I understand that it's a very small amount of the crime, an extremely small amount of the crime. The bikie crime in Australia would be less than 1% of the total crime, yet it gets 99% of the attention. Why is that? So they can increase the surveillance laws. The guys can look at them and be like, yep, that's what I want to be. These are the guys that get all the hot girls. And then they fucking follow that footsteps that ends fucking nowhere. I know why they do shit. You don't fucking know. You think that you just clap your fucking hands together and think, yo, yep, that's just the way that men are. No, it's very manly to look after your family. It's very manly to fucking work. A lot of you guys think like that you work, but you don't work fucking like 60, 80 hours a week. It's very fucking manly to do that shit. If someone comes to me and says like, oh, I'm a cleaner and I fucking just clean floors, but I do it for fucking 60, 80 hours a week, he has my respect. That he's fucking in the trenches, like he's doing shit. To you, you'd be like, oh no, like I'm just running all these scams and doing a bunch of other crap. He's a dumbass. No, he's a long-term thinker. He might have kids and things like that. And as such, he's breaking the cycle. He's breaking his back to fucking look after his family. A lot of you guys are just fucking like, just think that you're here as like some fucking like circus. Like you just think like, oh, what can I take from the world? You can't understand the concept that sometimes a man's life is just to refine his fucking bloodline for his kids. Maybe his dad was an addict. Maybe his dad wasn't there. Maybe his fucking like mum was fucking trash. And now he's like, oh, well, I'm going to do everything that I can so that my next kids have fucking many more opportunities than me. See, that sort of concept to you is like, but that doesn't sound like a lot of fun. Life is not about fucking fun. See, a lot of you guys that think like everything's meant to be some big party are fucking bums. You know, life is not about that. Ironically, the more duty you take on and accept that, you know, men have a duty in the world, the more fucking like power you'll get and the more fucking money you'll get. Because people look in and they're like, yeah, well, this guy's respectable. And they want to help people like that. Like I see the cleaner fucking break his back and I'm like, how do I help this dude? You would be like, what a fucking peon, you know, what a peasant. Because you don't understand what has value. You think things that have value are just shit that you're sold, like, you're sold fucking like, you know, you think that, oh, yep, everyone needs a Lamborghini. Your dream is to just be like some fucking like massive flexer online. You don't understand that a lot of those people have zero substance. Your dream is to be like some fucking like cardboard cutout person, some caricature that's just like completely not who you are. Because you see a lot of those people and think that they're having a massive amount of success just because, but you don't understand that it's all just like glimmering dust in the fucking distance. And the closer you get to it, the more you realize that it doesn't exist. See, I'm extremely close to people like that. I know that it's fake. You look in and you're like, oh, yep, they're living the perfect life. No, everything that has value takes a long time to get. Everything that has value, you're born with. So you think everyone needs a McLaren and fucking shit like that. And, oh, yep, if I just had this car, I'd be so happy. If I just had $1 million in the bank, everything would change. No, you'd still be exactly the same person that you are now. You just have more money. Money for some of you would just fucking destroy your life. You'd have more opportunities to do more of the crap that you do now. A lot of you guys would just be extreme fuckboys and blow your whole life up. A lot of you guys think that life's just meant to be some fucking like massive fucking bender, some massive party. Like, oh, I'm just here, you know, I'm here one time. I don't care what I do. I don't care about anyone but myself. And then you sit there and be like, oh, but you know, why don't I get good results? Because it shines through that you don't really give a fuck about anyone. You think that fucking like your view of what a man should be is completely distorted. Like your view is very fucking Hollywood. You think that like the movies and shit that they show you aren't for a reason. You think that a lot of the crap that they run through Netflix and that now they run it at a loss. Like the funds and that back the projects are losing money. And you don't understand that it's not about fucking making money in that field anymore. It's about programming people. And why do you think they program people? Because they're using them as a product. So they can lose money on films. Doesn't matter because they're getting much more out of it. They know that they're going to get a lot more out of it in the future. So you think that all this degeneracy and that there's going to be no consequences to it? I understand that there will be. I understand it at extremely high level because I've been around fucking massive amounts of degenerates. I have degenerated the world myself by selling very large amounts of drugs. So I understand what fucking it does. I understand what companies do. They do that, but on a legal scale. So my take, again, I went on a fucking rant about it, but a lot of you guys need to fucking like reassess what it means to be a man. See, a lot of you guys are taught fucking things that are just so far from what men are. You watch dorks like fucking 6ix9ine and all these fucking rapping fucking retards, and you think like, yep, that's what a man is. Like, oh, he's got fucking bag, he's got this, he's got that. You don't understand that it's all pretend. Like, they have actually got like gangsters around them. Yes, they have guys around them that are fucking dangerous people, but they're not the artists themselves. You think like the very concept that an artist, the dork that used to draw in class, is some sort of fucking bad boy? No, that's just, it's so fucking extreme. Like, they're just actors. Like, they're set with a very specific story. Like, you think that you listen to all these rappers and that, and you're like, yep, that story is perfectly true, that backstory. No, they go to prisons and take these fucking guys out. How it works, I know because I've seen people groom like teams. I knew a fund, I'm not gonna fucking say which fund because it's not really necessary, but they'd go on LinkedIn, and this is a crypto fund. They'd go on LinkedIn and find a very specific team of like, you know, they'd find guys that are extremely credible, guys that have good degrees, guys that have a very good backstory, and then they would like proposition them to start a project with all of them. And the project wouldn't really be designed to succeed, but because it had a lot of fucking like, you know, clout, and it had a lot of the right people behind it, that it was an easy narrative to sell to the public, so that it was easy to get funding on, so that they made a lot of money. And then they would just pay this team a small amount of that money, and they'd be like, yeah, I'm happy to put my name behind it, you know? And a lot of that's what's happening with these rappers. Like, you think that their backstory and that's all legit. Like, they go to the prisons, they get like these very minor criminals, often that have extreme like drug habits already, and then they bring them into the fucking studio, and then they say like, you know, that we'll give you money, drugs, clout, and then they have to push a very specific narrative because they know that if they stop, all the money tap gets turned off, and now they've got a lot of fucking family and people that have never had money before being like, oh, you can't fucking like not do it. You have to keep pushing it forward, because if you don't push the narrative forward, you'll fucking like, we'll all be back on the street. You know, they get them hooked on like drugs, women, clout, and it's only for a very specific reason, to degrade their community. They keep pushing out this like rap crap, and then you think like, oh, yep, you know, the very like 0.00001% chance of making it, so I'm gonna be a rapper as well. It's very fucking like obvious to me. It's very much the same as what they do in Australia with this bikie thing. A lot of guys think like, oh, yep, that's gonna be the life that I need to do. They don't understand that less than 1% of people in that lifestyle actually make money. It's designed fucking like, it's not something that you think that you should just jump in and do. It's for a very specific person. A lot of you guys think like, oh, yep, I'm just gonna do that. You don't understand, like, it's a thing that it's like a calling. You have to really be groomed to it. It's not something that you can just jump into. It's just not fucking something that you should fucking wanna do. You know, I've fucking been around all that shit. I've been around fucking gangsters. I've been around fucking heavy criminals. I've been around killers. You know, it's not something that you wanna fucking emulate. That doesn't make a man. See, you're taught that you need to be this fucking like hardened Terminator. That's not true. You need to love your family, and you need to love like the people around you. See, the shit that you're taught is like real scarcity thinking. Like that you need to be fucking like afraid, and you need to fucking like, you can't be vulnerable to anyone. He who cares less wins. You know, you're taught a lot of the shit that doesn't really fucking like help. You're taught envy, jealousy, to see people have shit on the fucking like Instagram, and you're like, oh, I wish I had that car. You're not taught that like the strength in loving someone. You're not taught that love itself is incredibly strong. That if you have a family that you love and you're like, fuck, I have to work hard, you know, like I've got fucking kids at home and things like that, to fucking, it accelerates you. You're taught just like to sit and watch other people live, and you know, you're a bit envious of them and that, and you've got all these negative emotions that you drown out with the epic consumerism. You're not taught like light. and dark can exist in one person. You'll just focus more on the dark shit. And as such, like I've said before, you don't experience the full spectrum of emotions. And it's not just men, it's women as well. So then when you have both sides doing much the same thing, it's very it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It becomes much more of the same. Here, people are much more vulnerable. You know, it's not uncommon to see fucking like very couples together, and you know, it's like I said, you walk around, you're not listening to fucking like Cardi B and all this other crap and all this fucking like pretend gangsters, and you know, everyone's fucking meant to be some killer or something. You know, it's very dumb. Like, you know, it's very dumb because it's extremely fake. Like, a lot of these guys are just fucking nerds. You know, it's very clear as day. Like, some of you guys see these rappers and you don't realize that they're just tatted up geeks. Like, anyone can fucking like get a codeine addiction and fucking take like benzos and things like that and, you know, just bob around. A lot of these guys can't even fucking dress themselves in the morning. Like, you haven't seen addicts and things like that I have. A lot of these guys would fucking be shitting themselves, like can't even use the toilet properly. Like, a lot of these guys are just fucking like pillheads, addicts, scum of the earth. And you watch and you're like, yep, that's the guy that I want to emulate, the guy that can barely even fucking talk. It's just a fucking disaster. So that's sort of fucking my take. My take would be that if you can pretty much get out of the West, if you have kids or like if it's an opportunity for you, I would definitely think about it. And it's not just a get out of the West fucking video. It needs to be, you need to understand what it is to be a man. You don't. So your dad never fucking taught you. And instead you got taught by Hollywood. You got taught by fucking music. It doesn't matter what fucking skin color you have. It doesn't matter if you're a white dude, black dude, Asian dude, fucking any fucking race. I think everyone's been taught much the same, like the same sort of shit. I think maybe black people being taught more of a refined version of it. Like it's that sort of fucking like culture that they get pushed a lot of that like rap garbage to the hardest. And you got to fucking think like, do you think black people were fucking better when they were like married and fucking having families and things like that, or are they better off since rap and crack and all that come through their fucking communities? Because I would say that's a massive scourge. Not only that, it encourages massive fuckboy behavior. So when people do have kids and things like that, it's more like accidental. And the kids, instead of being more refined to the good, they're going to be raised more refined to the shit. They're going to be fucking know even less than their fucking dad knows, who's already a massive fuck up. You know, a lot of them, just these fuck boys, just having kids, they don't understand, like they're going to be having sons that know fucking nothing. Like their sons are just going to be a much more fucked up version of themselves. And they're going to be even more fucked up because they're going to be raised solely by women. So that's a massive problem because men can't be raised by women. Like in the old days, they used to destroy a fucking like tribe, kill all the men, and then leave all the boys and that to be raised by women. That was considered a great shame because they know that fucking women can't raise warriors. Incredibly normal. So you're taught that fucking like to be a warrior means that you have to be this like fucking cold-blooded killer, and it's just not real. Like, you know, your hero is only cold-blooded, so to speak, because he takes copious amounts of drugs. Like it's very fucking obvious to me. A lot of them can't even fucking talk. Like it's actually quite pathetic. You know, you don't realize how fucked up it is until you get out of your own country. Like the shit that you're taught to idolize is just all short-term fucking like fuckboy loser stuff. But if you emulate, you'll find a massive amount of fucking problems. If you run around and emulate what they've taught you, you'll end up in prison, dead, fucking massive amounts of trash. Like you're putting your dick in garbage. It's just, a man is a man that fucking works a lot. He fucking does his fucking 60 hours a week. He's got a route to have kids. He's got a route to have a woman that cares about him. The shit that you're taught is just to be some fucking like fuckboy in the club. And you don't realize that you're becoming like a woman. So when you hit 30, you'll be the fuck up. You think that like, oh yeah, well, she's hit the wall and I've got all these opportunities. No, you'll both hit the fucking wall. The wall for her though, she's still 40 and she's still got fucking routes to have unlimited sex. The route for you at 40, a 40-year-old fuckboy, no. All you have is youth. If you're a fuckboy, all you have is your youth. Because when you get older, women will be like, how's this guy such a fuck up? See, when you're a fuckboy in your 20s, they're like, oh, yep, he's got some potential. You know, I can sort of stick around a bit. I can be a bit tolerant that he doesn't have his shit together. But if you think you're going to be a 40-year-old fuckboy, no. You're going to be that fucking loser at 40 that people are like, oh, what's he doing? Like, yeah, how's he still messaging girls? Doesn't he know that he's a fucking complete loser? And when you get to that age, it's going to be a point that you have to sort of realize it, you know? A lot of you treat life like it's a fucking video game. Like it's just meant to be like fucking some like shit that you're just meant to enjoy every second of. It's not. Like a lot of the shit as a man is about duty. You just can't fucking like take the punch in the face. You can't take the fucking delays. You can't take the long-term thinking. You just think like, oh, yep, he who cares less wins. No, that's not true. It's just not true. He who fucking wins, wins. Win to me is fucking shit that's over the long term. I've won. I didn't win by fucking I've done all the fuckboy shit. I've done everything that I say for you not to do. I've done the gangster shit. I've done the drug dealing. I've done the fast money. I've done the fucking have 3 girlfriends. I've done the fucking having dozens of girls all the time. I've done all that shit. And I'm telling you, it's fucking very hollow. It's very empty. It's like a fucking veneer over a fucking like rotting wound. So it's like having a rotting tooth and then you think like, oh yep, I'll just get it capped. That'll fix everything. No, it's not fucking long term. It's not very fucking good. There's a lot of consequences to that lifestyle. I spent time in prison. I spent time in a fucking army hospital. I spent time in fucking pretty much isolation. I had, 6 years where I couldn't do, or probably 8 years where I couldn't do fucking anything. Understand that there are large consequences that I've had people murdered around me. There are fucking, if you think that you're gonna run around and do that sort of crap, understand that there are problems. Even if you just flag that you're a gangster, even you might want fucking the girls that think that you're some gangster. See, that's the problem with a lot of you. You're not gangsters. Are you just fucking nerds that run around and just pretend to be one? Oh, the girls like it, so I'm just gonna act like I'm a fucking thug. And a lot of you are just fucking like spineless doofuses. You know that if a real gangster confronted you, you'd shit your pants. But you just want girls to fucking like, be like, oh, yep, I'm gonna give him the gangster treatment. You don't make the money that a gangster makes, but you get the reputation of a fucking gangster. So you get the reputation as someone who's a fuck up, but you don't make the money that they make. So you're not in their fucking inner circle. You're not profiting off it. You're LARPing as some fucking thing that you don't have. So you get really none of the upside, because even the girls that are around you are like, yeah, this guy's a fraud. But then you get all of the downside, because society still will be like, yeah, this guy's a gangster, so I can't have much to do with him. But the girls that are around you are like, yeah, this guy's fucking LARPing, so it's incredibly fucking dumb. A lot of you guys, specifically in the States, like, you're just not fucking gangster. You're a fucking dweeb. Like, it's extremely fucking obvious to everyone. A lot of you guys think, like, just because there's a lot of guns and that around, that you're some fucking thug. You're not. Just a fucking normal dude, and that's fine. It's not about being some fucking scary Terminator. That's not what life as a man is about. It's about being able to display and show the full spectrum of emotions. Men love as well. Like, they love like fucking women. They love their friends, they love their family, and they love their fucking kids. You think that man is like meant to be some fucking like pretend robot? You think that your biggest value is that you're fucking some fucking like walking dildo? Like that all you have to offer is like your fucking dick? It's a fucking disaster. Like, it's just so far from what fucking men are meant to be. And then you think like you're gonna have kids and you're gonna be able to teach them something. Like if you were to teach them anything, it would just be what? Like, a lot of you just think like you'd just be teaching them more refined versions of what they would see on TV. They'd be like, yeah, this is what my dad did, so I'm just gonna copy him exactly, and become a massive fuck up. Like, a lot of you just don't understand duty, like honor, that fucking, you do have a responsibility to your bloodline. Understand that, like, if you believe what, that we've been around for thousands of years, that they were fucking like thousands of years of misery. If they were born like, even up to probably 1900s, it was extremely fucking dangerous. And that it was fucking like, people getting sick and dying like very, very fucking early. So your bloodlines lasted all of this time, through all of these fucking diseases, famines, fucking all these problems, just to get to you. To sit on your ass, play video games, be fat, LARP as a gangster, pretend to fucking be someone that you're not. And all of this crap that you're taught, I have to do everything to try and get sex, sex. Porn. No, it's just not how things are fucking done. It's not how men are. It's not who men are. It's certainly not who I am. And it's certainly not fucking who I would associate with. I don't hang out with people that do that, have that sort of a fucking mindset. Because they're not ones that you can fucking have your girl around. They fucking, or they're either obsessed with women or they pretend that they hate them. Either way, it's much the same. See, a lot of these guys will say, oh, I hate women, but they're obsessed with them. They're not guys that I could fucking be like, yeah, you can watch my girlfriend for 5 minutes. Because their whole fucking obsession is about women. They're not trustworthy around women. They pretend to hate them, but even if they had the smallest droplet of attention from one, they'd be fucking like all consumed. You know, it's extremely obvious to me. A lot of guys need to fucking like get their shit together and grow up and realize that life is like about duty as a man. That you can't just run around like life is just some fucking massive theme park. And that fucking like everything's just meant to be some fucking like spike. I roll spike to spike, you know. I'm just getting this massive rush here and then I roll into the next rush. All the while getting fucking further from like where you want to go, like over the long term. Understand that all this little rush of crap that you get in your 20s, even into your early 30s, will have massively long fucking consequences. Some of you, and I would consider a larger amount than normal, if you didn't have your distractions of video games and that, I think a lot of you would be bordering on suicidal. Like you'd realize your life is pretty much garbage. Like a lot of you fucking, I understand why they have so much consumerism and things, because if you turned off all the games and all the TVs and shit, you'd be like, actually, they're like, I'm fucking like not happy. Like I've got fucking like, I don't know why I feel so shit. A lot of you are just heavily distracted. And that's just the way that it's by design. I imagine when we get virtual reality and we go into the metaverse in probably 10 years' time, a lot of you guys will be a much more refined version of who you are now and a massively larger failure, because you'll be able to get a more fucking like sustained, tighter spike again, that dopamine hit. In the metaverse, you'll be able to fucking 8, 9s and 10s at will, but it won't be real. See? And that's just the fucking way it goes, you know? So I understand that it's not fucking something that, you know, is going to be a massively fucking like good chat where you just think like, yep, this is the way to go. But understand that men specifically, you need to fucking like understand that life is partially, at least partially, a large amount about duty, responsibility, fucking like caring for people below you, caring about people that like fucking, you know, a man to me is someone who has, the bigger the man, the bigger the circle, the people that he fucking takes care of. So you think that taking care of people is to have like fucking 5 sugar babies that don't give a single fuck about you, that just see you as an ATM. You don't understand like that it's about fucking like helping see people grow. You don't understand that you can have like employees of fucking dudes and chicks and help them out. You just think like, oh, I can only pay money for sex, you know, I just can't, you know, help anyone grow or fucking like do any fucking like philanthropy, you know, it's so fucking far from the truth. You're conditioned that all you have to offer women is money. It's either money or dick. You don't understand because there's really nothing more to you. Like it's all fucking on the exterior. So you think that you have to throw all this money at a chick just to fuck her, or you have to tell fucking 50 lies just to try and tilt the odds. And then you don't realize like you can't set boundaries even when you get together. So when things fall apart, she thinks like, oh, I was with this guy and now I realize he's a fucking loser. And then you're like, yeah, like, I don't know what the fuck went wrong. Like, you can't set boundaries. You let chicks fucking walk all over you. You fucking think that like, you know, that you have to lay all these resources on a chick, but just to fuck her. So then she's like, oh, well, this is just sex only. You know, this guy's the fucking customer. You don't understand what it's like to be vulnerable. You're taught just not to care. You're taught like, oh, I have to pretend that I don't care because if she knows, like, she could break my heart. He who cares less wins. That's just a race to the bottom. Because neither of you really give a shit. Like you're always half in, half out of the relationship. It's like fucking, you both fucking like driving around, but you got your both hands on the ejector seat at all times. And not only that, you've got like fucking another person lined up waiting to fucking eject the seat and just bounce into their car. Like it's extremely fucking dumb. What you bring is just the same crap to the next fucking like little circumstance thing that you're in. Because obviously it's not a relationship. Like it's nothing that's fucking like gonna be good. It's just, you're both operating on the same broken software. So I can see all this shit. So yeah, I understand that it's not a fucking like real fucking you know, happy chat that you're going to sit there and be like, oh, I feel amazing from this. But yeah, it's very relatable, I think, to Australians, specifically around this bikie culture and all this other crap. It's very much designed. It's less than 1% of the crime, but it gets nearly 100% of the press because people watch it and they glamorize it. You think that all these people are making all this money. You think that people are living all this lavish lifestyle. You think there's all these, yep, they're just fucking jetting around the world. No, 99% or more don't make any money. 99% or more will get fucking do all the time for everyone else. You don't understand that. It's just don't understand like that. You can be a man, you don't have to fucking run around hurting people. You don't have to be like a fucking cunt to people and be a prick and fucking like, you know, think all of this short-term stuff and the shit that you watch. You think that that's what guys have to be. Like you just can't be vulnerable. You can't fucking accept that love exists. The idea of forgiving someone or something to you is completely foreign. You think that you have to be like some fucking Terminator. Or you're running around as some fucking nice guy, you know, and think that, oh, if I do all this stuff, like people will just have to be nice to me. No. It's not how things work. And that's my fucking take on many things. So until next time, lads.